As the Guber polls draw close, the people of Edo State will elect a new governor in just a few weeks as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, conducts the state's off-cycle Guber poll. Now this, of course, has brought about indications that the election will be a test of might among the key gladiators. Now, which of these candidates have the capacity, particularly in the area of competence, wide network, goodwill, and also global appeal, and a wealth of experience to build a first-class economy for the state? Now, who is the best fit for this job? Who can the people of Edo State trust to lead them for the next 4 years? These are topical questions. Now, joining me on the show this evening is Bright Enabulele, is the Accord Party governorship candidate. He joins virtually from Edo State. Thank you for your time, Bright.
Oh, thanks for having me on your show.
All right, great. Let me start off with some statements or some of the achievements that the current administration, the outgoing administration, of course, of Governor Godwin Obaseki of the People's Democratic Party, some of the administrations they have highlighted, saying that they have surpassed, the expectations of the people. Part of it having to establish a world-class mall and also establish a state-of-the-art tech state. What am I saying? They brought about Wi-Fi in about 100 points in the state, including some public markets. They also said they've made a lot of impact as regards education, with the Edo Best, being at the initiative being at the front burner. Your reaction to all of this?
Well, it's always good to have, first and foremost, I'm Dr. Bright Enabulele, Accord Party, gubernatorial hopeful. Well, we elect government to take care of the people. We elect government to make sure that the welfare of the people are priority. So when government says they have accomplished a lot of stuff, for me, we have to do a fact check. Education is very important in our country, but I think we have to do more reforms. I've heard about the Best, I've heard about the Tech Hub. As a champion in blockchain development, I know that the states still have to do more, but we need to do a lot of fact checks, because don't forget, after politics, after election, there's life after election. Most time, people trying to come up with facts that will persuade the voters, because no one is doing a fact check. So it's important that a citizen do a fact check. But whatever the government is saying, present administrations talking about education reform, there must be something to show for it. If there's nothing to show for it, that means they are not focusing on human development. And for me, I think I'm not blaming any administration, but I think it's time for the state to move forward. Thank you.
All right. You keep, I noticed that in your opening remark, you kept making reference to fact-checking some of these issues or some of these achievements of, in the state. I mean, you are also in the race. Aren't you fact-checking yourself?
I did. I'm not here.
So what have you discovered?
Most of those initiatives are ongoing, and sometimes it's very short, in a short period of time, it's very hard to counter, because especially when it comes to education, it takes a period of time to unveil himself. So when the government says we have put a lot of reforms together, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to beat education reform overnight, do best, and you expect to get the results. It takes time. And I'm happy that the administration is moving forward. If a new administration have to go back and see if those were facts or not. We can't just go into their books, because we don't have access to those books.
All right. I mean, let's come to you. There are, of course, concerns that you are not grassroots enough. You've not, been in the state, and you are not maybe abreast or in tune with the realities of the average Edo person living in Edo State. How do you react to that?
Well, when it's a problem in a state, a problem of any state is global. It doesn't matter. The world is becoming a global village where all the informations are out there on your fingertips. If a state is doing well, you don't need the rocket science to tell a state is doing well. When you look at the dynamics of our state, you can feel there's an erosion in our state. because the government has now focused on public services. They're talking about this development, a government that's focusing, talking about social services. We still lack for over 24 years since modern day democracy. We're still fighting for water. We're fighting for clean energy. We're fighting for good roads. For me, I just felt that Edo needs liberation. If this is the Edo that we want, I am not impressed. If this is the Edo state that we're looking for, I rather stay United States. I believe we need a more civilized administration, a more exposed administrations that can bring prosperity to the land. That's why I'm on this race. We just need a new frontier. Edo, for me, has never enjoyed true governance. And if they think they do, I think it's going to be a city where one eye is a king. Edo State needs liberation. Edo State needs a reform. And that's why it's important that we elect a leader, not just a leader with academia, someone that's exposed, someone that understands when people need light, they give them light. When they need water, they give them water. When they need good roads, those are just necessity. Those are not lost. So I am not impressed with the condition of our state. If you are impressed, me, I'm not impressed. Because after living overseas for many years, I've been on ground. You can tell that the land is not settled. You can tell there's hunger in our land. You can tell that the people are fighting for change. They're fighting for a new administration. They're fighting for a new government. And that's why I'm on this race.
All right, I'm still going to stay with you on, perceptions and opinions about you in the States. I understand that you spent a good part of, your growing up in Germany before moving to the United States. And of course, a bulk of it also at some point you were in London. And then you want to be governor of a state in Nigeria. And they are still asking, how can you be the governor or the leader of a state when maybe you are not abreast with the happenings in the state? So I'm still going to ask you, what do you consider those fundamental issues that the people of Edo State need from your own assessment?
Well, let's first of all, before I go to social issues, for the past 24 years, the people have been complaining on social issues, like just good roads, electricity, and water. For me to campaign in the 21st century about good roads, lands, and water, for me, it's a disgrace. And in a civilized world, this developing country, I'm going to move to human services, public services. The people are hungry. There's hunger in our land. We should focus where the government, there's wasteful spending in our administrations. There's mismanagement of funds. We have not been able to identify how we can empower the people. When it comes to democracy, it's the people first in my administrations, because I want to focus on institution, not individualism. Most of these governments are just about individualism. So when they leave office, the foundation collapse. We want to build an institutions that will surpass even when we leave the administrations. Our administrations should focus on public services, where we can look at issues in our land that allows corruptions combined with greed and poverty. There's poverty in our land. We must find a way to take care of the people. Look for a rapid economic emancipation, where the people can say, yes, this government cares about the people. You can talk about skyscraper. Nobody cares about that. When every Edo-lite don't have 10,000 naira in their account. I want to be the first to make sure that public service is established in Edo land, that we can fight hunger. That what I'm saying here is we'll put money in every sons and daughters of Edo. We'll take from the government, wasteful spending, forced labor, mismanagement of funds, corruption within the government, and make sure we distribute wealth. That is my administration. Public service, so we can rebuild our middle class. And it's important for me. I'm not here to run a campaign of redress. I'm not throwing any fingers on any, whether it's a Shomole, whether it's a Basaki. They are done enough. Congratulations. The land is not on fire. We are not at war. So there's hope. Edo need a new face. And I believe Dr. Nabalele is the hope for Edo State. Thank you.
All right, now, Dr. Anabolele, let's move away from that. Let's talk about the current realities of not just in Edo State, the average Nigerian. One of the issues is the state of the economy, the rapid inflation. Another issue is, of course, the issue of the PMS, for instance, which has cascaded into not just the price of feeding, but even transportation itself. Now, what do you consider the missing link? What do you think that Nigeria as a country and Edo State, if you look at in terms of the prosperity metrics and also the economic metrics, we are not there yet?
Well, we're so far from that. First of all, the problem is corruption. Corruption, when there's corruption, not only corruption affects the land, it also affects the host from generation to generation. If we cannot tackle corruption, we cannot establish the rule of law. The problem in our land is we have system in place, but this system are not functioning because we failed on the backing of democracy that we must reestablish the rule of law. What does it mean to say rule of law? He that creates the law, he that enforces the law, he that interprets the law must obey the law. When these links are missing, no matter what we say, we're going to go backward and backward and backward. Things are there. They're a foundation of our land, but the problem is we don't know how to engage our people correctly because those in government are putting themselves first before the people. And then the people say, why should I even worry about the government? When we reestablish ourselves correctly, make sure that we enforce the rule of law and to tackle corruption, the state will start moving forward. That means we have to reset the playing field. Democracy is great, nice, 24 years, more than the democracy. But when you look at all the arms of government, from the judiciary to the legislative to the executive, it's corruption. And when there's corruption, corruption don't only destroy the land, it destroys the future generations. It allows people not to even tell the truth. Now election is coming, people are coming out with fake promises, I will do this, I will do this. And these are people that are already in the arms of government. What are you going to do differently? What are your policy? For me, I just think we should go back to politics 101. Put the people first, because at the end of the day, the people elect you to lead them. So when you don't put the people first, then it's a problem. This corruption is not just something that happened yesterday. So we have to reset back our clock. If we cannot find a system that tackles corruption in our land, we're going to have mismanagement of funds. Yes.
Dr. Anabolele, sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to ask, specifically, Edo State has a refinery that is not, functioning optimally. What do you suggest can be done differently?
When you go back to the question of that, why is it not functioning? Corruption. We have to look at the resources that we have in our land, how we can bring them back to working. We have to look at global relationship. We have to look at cross-border relationship. We have to go back to things that works, holistic approach, because there is complexity in our land. We need a leader that can navigate this complexity. We're talking about a refinery. Even our national refinery is not even working. It just started 2 or 3 days ago. Refinery is not just for crude oil. We have to start looking at alternative energy, electrical cars that can save money in our land. We have so much wasteful spending. We need someone, great thinker, that can sit down and rebuild our institution, not individualism, because government is not just one person. We have to look at all the 4 pillars of our government, just on the executive branch, all the way to our local government. We have 18 local governments in Edo State. We have to hold everybody accountable. Our refinery, first thing we have to look at things that are broken, how we can get them to start working. Refinery is a major source of revenue. How do we get it to work? 80% of those things that are hindering our economy today are just corruptions. We know what to do, but when we put corruption in our forefront, we're not going anywhere. My government, we're not going to talk about tackling corruption. We're going to reset the clock and say the future starts from zero. Our administration, we're not going to abolish anything that says, Obaseki, because there are certain things that education reform, that this present administration, 8 years is not a joke. We will look at them and see the one that is great, we take it for us. Take it with us. The one that is not working, we have to reset the clock. First of all, if you're having a refinery, first of all, you have to have the crude oil there working. We don't even have crude oil in our land. We're talking about terminal refinery. We don't even have kerosene production. So that's far beyond fetch. My primary focus is human development. how to engage our people to go back
Now,
to
talking about
agriculture.
human development, I'm sorry to interrupt. Edo State has a lot of young persons, brilliant young individuals. Unfortunately, there are also cases of a bulk of them involved in internet fraud, popularly called the Yahoo Yahoo. We've seen cases where quite a number of them have been picked up. What do you suggest can be done differently to engage these young individuals profitably and change that narrative?
I'll be honest with you. When you look at our DNA, we have brilliant people, intelligent minds, but when you don't engage them correctly, what do you expect them to do? An hungry man is an angry man. An angry man is a dangerous man. So we have to start looking at, I am a champion in blockchain development. The world is moving from humanism to dataism. Data is the new economy. My goal is to go back and look at those intelligence and engage them correctly. Start looking at things that will allow them to stay here in a Edo State and be able to get a job in the United States. We call them virtual assistants. It's happening in India, it's happening in Bangladesh, it's happening in Nepal. They sit in their homes and they work for companies in the United States. So I will want to make sure I bring a new digital revolution to Edo State because the world is moving to digital. Whether it's our
you're talking about digital revolution.
The
current administration has boasted that it has actually, done quite a lot of achievement on that. One of which is ensure that, young persons, not just young persons, many residents in the state have access to free Wi-Fi, which, according to them, would boast innovation and even business prospects. So what other areas are there?
Well, Wi-Fi is just a transportation. Having a Wi-Fi doesn't mean it's an engagement. In every civilized world, there's Wi-Fi everywhere. That's fine. For me, kudos to that because I wouldn't take it away. Do we have our own data center? Do we have our own cybersecurity that we don't have intrusion in our land? The problem today is when you bring out all this technology and you don't go to that elementary level, you get the people confused because they're always excited, oh, we have Wi-Fi. The question is, how do we engage our youth? We have to look at curriculums that allow them to get a job, not just within Edo, outside Edo. I'm telling you, in the Western world today, they are looking for cheap labor. They are engaging third world countries, developing countries to work for them. But most of the curriculums that we have in our education reform doesn't allow them to do that. So we have to go back and look at how do we certify the 3-4 system education is beautiful. How do we certify our hairdressers, our mechanics, those are in blockchain technology, those are in healthcare technology. We have to go back to those reforms. We cannot go back to the same old things and want new results. We have to find an holistic approach, a new approach to this approach to these programs and these problems. And I
Dr.
think
Enebulele,
this is where
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I'll tell you, let me finish. This is where I come in. I am a champion in digital revolution. I am a champion in blockchain technology. You can look at my citation. But the question is, how do we engage our people to have this cross-border engagement? The world is becoming a global village. When you keep a child doing nothing, they finish their high school, they finish their higher tertiary institution, no jobs, what do you expect them to do? Our labor force is very weak. When you look at the employment rate in Edo State, it's very small. We have 4.7 million people, our fastest growing youth population in the world. The jobs that we're doing 20 years ago, since pandemic, it's not different. Digital medicine, digital accounting. We're now moving from online banking. We need to start retraining our children to position themselves to challenge China, to challenge Bangladesh, and all those things. So we need a reform, okay?
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the quick one before we, of course, go on a commercial break. Now, I also understand that you are an American citizen, spent a bulk of your years abroad. It's still going to bring me to my question as to how abreast you are with the local community in Edo State and also the local polity. So, how much of it?
I am first of all, I know where you're going. I know where you're going. A chemistry, anywhere is a chemistry anywhere. An engineer, anywhere is an engineer anywhere. A philosopher anywhere is a philosopher anywhere. The democracy that we practice today will hand over to us. I am very, very connected to the grassroots. I know the problem of the land more than the people in the land, and I must let you.
You said you know the problem of the land more than the people in the land.
Of course, of course.
Okay, can you just give me three of the major problems of the residents of those citizens?
You cannot tell people. You cannot tell people that hunger needs to be translated. You can't translate hunger. You can't translate poverty. You can't translate mismanagement of funds. You can't translate social services. These are things that any Western, any civilized nation can see.
Have you visited any of the local governments to campaign?
I've toured everywhere. I've toured everywhere.
Can you give me at least 5 local governments?
Ira, Auchi, Oredo, Akoko Edo. Okay, listen. Ekpoma, I went on the road, both the federal and state road, because I wanted to see for myself. You cannot take a problem to solve a solution. You have to look at the problem itself. Most of these people today on this platform running for governor, they have been seeing this problem for the past 10 years. If they cannot react to it, then I'm disappointed. I was disappointed myself. I cannot be, after many years, you see, you cannot give what you don't have. I'm not used to power interruption. I'm not used to dirty water. I'm not used to bad road, so I cannot survive it. My first thing is to react to social services. That means get the road working, make sure that we have clean water, and make sure we have electricity. This has been the demand of the people for 24 years. This is not luxury. These are necessity. Any civilized nation that does not understand this, believe me, I think we should go back and rethink ourselves. And this starts from wickedness. Edo State needs someone that understands humanity over civil rights. Someone that understands that we have to bring our 18 local government together. Not just Ekoma, not just Fuga, not just Oriomo or Ego. Edo is a landmark of 19,000 square meters. It's becoming small since we divided Bender State. So anything that will make us have more separation is a disaster, because these separations and all that stuff takes away tourism from us. I want to bring back unity to our land.
All right, Dr. Nabulele, thank you so much. I understand that we really need to go on a break, but thank you so much for your time on the program, and we wish you all the best.